Want to see what's in my bag? In this video, I'm going to show you what I have in my plein air painting backpack. My name is Vita Evenson and I paint Greece. So here is my backpack. I got this big one from a local store here in Kharkiv. So basically this is what I've got in my plein air painting packet. Paper towels or a rag, it just depends. This I put in just for this video, just to give you an example. It's an MDF board. I have these pre-gessoed and sanded, if I need it sanded, depending on my taste that day for a painting panel. And yes, I gesso everywhere, all over, because if you get any kind of water or moisture in here, it will bloat, and not a good thing. So this is my tripod. It is not, you know, a huge cost. I think this one here at the store in Thessaloniki was probably around 80 euros, maybe 100. It's a Vesta. I don't know about the quality of it, but it felt sturdy enough. So I got it, and so far it's been okay. Haven't had much problems with it. You know, it doesn't open up as wide as some of the more professional plein air tripods out there. But here, you know, we don't get a lot of wild weather, and if it is kind of stormy and not, or if it's windy, I generally won't go out painting. I save them for beautiful days. This is a great umbrella that attaches to the tripod in case I need to protect myself from the sunshine. And my huge 12 by 16 open box M painting palette. No affiliation, although I would gladly promote their product. I think this is fantastic. But this one for me is too big. I need a smaller one for my purposes. I can use this one, in fact, for a regular easel. And of course, the sketchbook. All right, I have in a Ziploc bag, my limited palette. I never use, or hardly ever use, more than this primary limited palette. So I've got titanium white, cad yellow, quinacridone rose. I prefer quinacridone over alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, and burnt sienna. This is my primary palette. This is always on my palette, these colors here. And I find them to be everything that I need to create any kind of painting. So when you're going out plein air painting, don't bring a ton of paints with you. You don't need them. First of all, it makes your life a lot easier while you're out plein air painting. And secondly, it teaches you how to mix and use your color mixes wisely. And that is a much bigger lesson than having an array of colors. Sometimes, if I know I'm going to be out for a while, or if I've done a few studies of a certain area and I want to go out and paint it, I will do a classic limited palette where I'll have a warm and cool yellow, a warm and cool red, a warm and cool blue, and my burnt sienna. Maybe I'll add a burnt umber, maybe. Stay minimal, stay small, and work with what you have. When you are more limited, your paintings will always come out harmonious. You won't have any trouble with your color harmony and how it works in your painting. So you can save yourself that mess. In another Ziploc bag, I have my turpentine. And, you know, I've got my turpentine in there. It's got this rubber top gasket thing, and you put it in and close it up. But even so, I always put it in the Ziploc bag because, you know, if for some reason it does open up, something goes wrong, it can spill out into the bag all at once and leave the rest of the painting alone. So with my brushes, I have a larger brush for the beginnings of the stages for the larger masses, and this usually is the second layer. I use the sides or the tip when I need smaller brush. I don't want to carry around a lot of brushes, and I have this script liner for doing bushes and branches and, you know, wavelets, the little foam on the waves, and doing the fine lines. So I have this one with me as well. But I don't carry a lot of brushes. That's pretty much it. One or two palette knives. I usually only just take one. It's usually this one because it's not the one that I use in my studio. This is the one I use more in my studio. These are great. Has a razor that you can change when it gets old, and it closes up so you don't get cut. And it's great for scraping the palette, but it's also unnecessary. It's not needed. You can use your palette knife, get most of the paint off, wipe it down, and clean it off that way as well. Here I have these little, you can see it's got some dried liquid in it, which oftentimes in this one I will, if I have my #1 mix, medium, which is what I usually take with me out painting, which is 2 parts turpentine and 1 part linseed oil. I will put that in here and bring that along. Sometimes I will take this one, which is where I normally put the liquid if I'm using it. You can see it's got some in here right now. I'm using this one right now on my palette in the studio, so I'm putting that aside as well. I always have these types of things, 1 or 2 with me to hold whatever needs to be held, and a pen, often for my sketching when I'm doing thumbnail sketches or notans. And here's an example of the little hook that will rest on the edge of my palette and hold my turpentine, the jar of turpentine, like I showed you. So it will just hang there and it works beautifully. Stuff. So sometimes I take these kinds of things with me to make different types of marks on my canvas. As you can see, I have not used this one yet. I sometimes use this. I don't use it very often. I usually use these kinds of tools with abstract painting, but I bring it along with me just in case, because you never know. And they're extremely light, so it's not weighing down my palette in any way. And lastly, more Ziploc bags. Which I will sometimes use to put the garbage in, right, from my paper towels. I can just stuff them in there and put them in if I don't have an actual bag with me. And that's pretty much it. So that's my plein air setup. The only thing, like I said in another video that I'll link up here, my pochette box is too big for me. I tend to do small studies. I don't usually go out and do full paintings. If I had a smaller one, then I would be in a smaller backpack. It would be lighter. I might carry it with me more often. So that's it. That's what I've got in my plein air painting on this little tiny Greek island. Have a beautiful day. Be inspired, be creative, and be you.